Okay, here we go. Here is the how-to guide on Blendspace. Done a search in Google, and there you go. I can click directly on the link to Blendspace. If I'm new to it, I go to sign up, and as a teacher, I sign up as a teacher. If you want your students to get from the absolute most from it, and you really start to use it, I would encourage you to get them to sign up as a student using their college Google account, because then you can get feedback and statistics and results and data from quizzes that you put in and collaboration, all sorts of things. But as a starting point, you sign up as a teacher and don't bother filling in this form. Sign up with your Google account. Okay, I've already got one, so I'm just going to log in with a Google account and I'm going to accept the little button there. So when I go into Blendspace, I have a whole bunch of lessons, they're called. And to give you an idea of what a Blendspace lesson looks like, you've probably come across this before, but here you go. Here's one that I made with Peter, see, in collaboration. And you can see that it's a series of what are called tiles, numbered tiles, in sequence that have different media contained within them. So that media could be a link, as this one is, a link to a video, link to videos, or just a piece of text that I've typed directly in, or a link to a website, or an uploaded document, or a link to a podcast, or even a link to a PowerPoint that I've uploaded to the system. So it's a really nice way of displaying PowerPoints, and you can see I can just scroll through that PowerPoint within the Blendspace system. This here is where your students would interact if they had accounts themselves. So that's what a Blendspace looks like. This is a pretty big one. It was actually designed for a whole module. And what's good is you can say, that question you asked me, there's some more on that, some reading on that in tile 20. And you go and send people away. You can differentiate by task. Students can self-access this via a single link, so they can also pace themselves according to their own needs and desires and revisit. But also, because you've got that ever-expanding space, you can put plenty of additional things in there for stretch and challenge activities to support language, which some students can skip, some students can engage with. So as a way of pulling together either for delivery or for sharing at a later stage, Blendspace is an excellent tool, links very nicely into Google and associated cloud-based tools. What I particularly like about it is that it generates an embed code. So your Blendspace could, when inserted into a label in Moodle, for example, or into a post in Blogger, for example, can become a really attractive and engaging portal to the resources that you've collected either from the outside or uploaded from your own drive, your Google Drive, and so on and so forth. So this video is how you make one. So when I log into Blendspace, it will go to my home page, and you'll see that I get the option here of a new lesson. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new lesson and think of something imaginative, exciting, and stimulating that I know absolutely nothing about, to see if I can produce a convincing looking lesson on that subject. So let's choose flower arranging. That's often cited as one of those evening old school adult ed classes that no longer exist. So flower arranging, there you go, there's my topic, and I'm going to repeat that in this search bar here. And what happens when I click search is that it will search whichever of these tabs is active. So Flickr for images, OpenEd for academic resources, EduCreations for presentations that have been made on iPad, I believe, which is like a dynamic board that shows the progress of something. To insert links uploaded from my computer, Dropbox and Google Drive, and so on. But the first one that's active is YouTube. So if I click on a search here, it brings up a whole bunch of videos as if I've searched it in YouTube. And if I want, I can preview that video and check to see whether this is the kind of content that I want. Her favourite arrangements are exactly what I want, so I'm going to drag that in there. Notice I'm not putting it in here. I'm going to leave that one blank for an introductory slide, a task, or some instructions about how I want the students to use it. And then I'm going to scroll through these videos. That one I've previewed. I really like the look of it. That one I've previewed. Obviously, I'm the expert and I'm curating this content based on my expertise. So I do need to preview them, watch them, check that they're okay, not rush through it as I am at the moment. See, I'm already running out of tiles. I just click add row and now I've got more tiles down there. So I've got the videos that I want. Let's do a Google search and see it comes up with images. I'm going to put that one there because that's going to be part of their task. That one there. Oh, that doesn't exist anymore, so I just replace that with another one. And if that works, you'll see that in there and so on. If I want to do a web search via Google, I just click on web, and that now links me to certain websites, which again I can preview. There's a whole bunch of videos in there. Let's see what else. Oh, floral foam arrangement, excellent. It's all good stuff. And so on and so forth. If I've got a particular website that I really want to include, so let's say the Royal Horticultural Society. I hope they have something to do with flowers and I don't look like a complete idiot. So there's their website there. If I copy the URL to their website and go to this icon here, insert web page, paste that in, it should bring up, oh dear, it hasn't worked. It should bring up a link to that page. There is a workaround if that happens, so we can always find a way of working around it. Let me just find, oh, for some reason, I've just lost my internet connection. That's why it's not working. So bear with me for one moment, just while I really re-establish my internet connection. And tea is brought to me. How about that? Thank you very much. So I'm copying a different link now just to make sure that that works and paste that in there. And now that I've re-established my internet connection, you'll see that that's now working. I'm going to add a row and drag that link in. Incidentally, if you want to know what the workaround is, if a link doesn't appear and you want a particular website on there, you go to the tab that the tile that you're working on, add text, and you can just paste a link in here if you want so that it's available. Or if you're feeling really, really like challenging yourself, you can edit the HTML, or you can just type some text like this and click on link, paste that link in, and that becomes an active link as well. So there's always a workaround, there's always a way of doing it. If I view that slide, you'll see I've got a clickable link there. Okay, so that's inserting videos, inserting images, inserting links, inserting a specific link, and so on. I doubt if there's anything on Edu Creations, no, but let's see if there's anything on flowers. Flowers and fertilizations. I want to include one of these because I want to show you what Edu Creations can do as a little sideline. If I just play this, you'll get the idea straight away, I think. So you can make these via an app on a mobile device.
In chapter 38, we're going to look a little bit more at angiosperms, at flowers. So insects help angiosperms to develop sexually with distinct members of their own species. So insects and flowers have kind of co-evolved.
So you can see it's a way of creating presentations that have interactive and involving content. Actually, now that I've previewed it, I don't like that. So I'm going to hover over here and remove that element. I've just realized that I want the link here earlier on in my presentation. So I'm just going to slide it up and see what's happened. It's now swapped those two slides around. I can click anywhere and add a slide which will push all of those slides down. So once you get used to it, you get used to fiddling very, very quickly with that content. If I want to insert a document from my Google Drive, I click on there and I can just find something non-committal, drag that in, a presentation on dyspraxia. I can edit the labels like that and put a description which goes onto the back of the tile, which can be read by any of the students as well. If I just want to add some text as an introductory slide, so welcome to this flower arrangement course. And I could put some tasks and various other bits and pieces in there. As you would with any sort of word processing editing tool, you can manipulate the font. I'm going to make that nice and big so that can be seen. So there you go. There's my introductory slide, and I'm going to call that welcome. So when I'm happy with what I've created, I can click play to preview it, and then just use the arrow keys on my keyboard, or these arrows here, to go through the content. And the videos play within the Blendspace. So I can now click on that video if I want to play it and watch that. So as you can see, it's a way of collecting or curating materials together. It's also a way of providing additional materials that are relevant to the program to enable support, to consolidate, or to stretch and challenge. You can include activities that will develop and support key skills in mathematics, in English, in other areas of ICT, or in subject-specific content. So it's really, a really useful and pretty straightforward way of doing things. And as I scroll through, there you go, there's my PowerPoint, which will now play in here. And I carry on going through, or if I expand that, I can make it full screen and just use the arrow keys. So you can see it's a really nice way of organizing and presenting the material, that link that I had. So I'm going to escape from that. If I click on this and open it up again, you'll see that I can go quickly to any tile as well, should I want to. So click on the X to close that down. Go back to Google YouTube search. Let's see if there's anything else I want to insert in here. There's a song. Replace that presentation. And amazing nature. That sounds interesting as a video there. Okay. So I'm quite happy with what I've created there. What I want to do now is share that with the students. The easiest way is to click on share. So I click share here and copy the link, send it to my students via email, or post it to a shared space online that we commonly use, or even better, put it in the appropriate session in my Moodle page for that week. If I want, I can get the embed code and embed it in a label or a page within Moodle or in a blog post so that they have a direct, visible link to the content of that session. It generates an automatic QR code. It updates Facebook straight away. You can email directly from here. You can tweet it from here. You can put it in Edmodo if you've used any of those things. But the main thing you need, just show you one more time, is to go to share, copy that link. If you can do that, that's fantastic. Notice you can tweak the privacy settings, but at the moment it's anyone, and I think that's actually perfectly okay. The only time that I would urge you to really carefully think about changing the privacy settings is if you've got anything in here that's particularly controversial, or if you're uncertain about data protection, or say for example you've got images of students and you haven't received explicit permission, signed explicit permission from their parents or guardians, or from themselves if they're over 18. So do have a think about those privacy settings. as with anything that you create and use online, these are important areas, and it's worth making sure that you know exactly what the requirements are on you in terms of those sorts of protection issues if you are using student images or student voices or videos. One thing about Blendspace is I can blend all these materials, curate all these materials, images, videos, and so on, so long, and not be in breach of any kind of copyright, so long as I keep it public. So if it's available on the web, public, then I haven't downloaded or shifted those resources and claimed them as my own. So they're effectively, what Blendspace is doing is pointing to these resources where they already are. So it's not a copyright infringement. But if you download it and save it and then delete the online version or whatever, then you're on much shakier ground, even though that hasn't, as far as I'm aware, been properly delineated in any either UK, European or international legislation. But these things change all the time, of course. So I create, I share, there's the link, that's the basics. If I want, though, I can share with a particular group. So I can create a group on my homepage and share that with that group, which is a set list of students that I've got who will then receive a notification that I've shared a new resource with them. So that they can then access that, and whenever they engage with it, I will see the outcomes of it. There's another way of doing that. If I go to the home page and find the, I can't remember what I called it now, find the document, I think, oh, it's flower arranging, wasn't it? See how I can share various bits and pieces here and track. If I've shared it with a group already, I can just track the group, who's accessed it, and so on and so forth. So that's quite an important element for the next level. I can also create further classes here. So at the other level, I'm going to call this test 1 because I lack imagination. Add that class there. And if I give them this code, TKOC, once they've registered for Blendspace, they can access any of my lessons that I associate with that group simply by entering that class code. And once they've entered it and they go in, other people can still see it, but it means that their scores and interactions are available and logged. Because one thing that I didn't show you from this lesson, from the template, and I should have done, it's an oversight on my part, is that you can put staged quizzes in at any stage. So let's imagine they've watched that first video. I'm going to slot a tile in there. And on that tile, instead of dragging or curating content, I'm going to add a quiz here. So the first question is, what is X? I didn't catch her name. X's favourite arrangement chord. So I can give it, try and think of something thrilling. Arrangement A, arrangement B, arrangement C, arrangement D. The actual answer was C, and I can click done or add another question. And when the students engage with that, they answer that question and submit it, it tells them if it's right or wrong, and I get a log of those results. But to be honest with you, that's next level stuff. That's not the essentials, but it does add a layer of reinforcement, does add a layer potentially of key skills, English particularly development, but works equally well with maths questions, of course. It does add an opportunity for stretch and challenge. But as a starting point, I would urge you to create something, curate the materials. Having yourself on the videos is even better, of course, and then move on to those next developmental levels about how you can use it. There are a few different templates. So these in rows, this, I actually personally, I prefer the default one. You can change from black and white to different coloured labels according to the content as well. But that's essentially it. Nice and straightforward. Fantastic tool. Links beautifully into Google. There are premium elements to it, but the free account I think, is a phenomenal piece of online software that can be used very, very quickly to create dynamic and interesting resources. One danger, of course, is that the temptation is just to drag any old videos in and not preview them. I can't urge you any more forcefully than this, really, but preview those videos. Make sure you know what the content is. You are the experts. You are the specialists. It's up to you to find the perfect material that pre-exists, and if it doesn't, create your own. Okay, I hope you found this useful and interesting. If you like this sort of thing and you want to do more of it, have a think about the e-teaching course. The next one is advertised via this Smore. So that's smore.com/WKM3A. And you can find out when the next course is, and links to some of the content and other things that we do on the course. So thank you again for listening.